Hey everyone, Cynics here, and if you can believe it, it is time once again for International Self-Portrait Day. Yes, of course I have to have a video today to remind you all to do a self-portrait. But before you get lost staring into the abyss of your own eyes, maybe grab some pumpkin seeds and watch me do my yearly self-portrait. Actually, let's start out with something a little bit different. Maybe we'll take a look back at previous self-portraits from self-portrait days. Technically, the first self-portrait day I celebrated was in 2006, and you can see my tired face here because I stayed up late working on it, and yeah, I was pretty happy with it for the time. I'm relatively new to digital painting. I like that I left the zipper a little abstracted. Kind of still having trouble defining forms, but I realized that a little bit of secondary lighting is pretty nice. You can see the way I was rendering hair and most things. It's just kind of a chaos bird's nest approach with strokes going everywhere. And that kind of persisted for a while. You know, when you're figuring out art on your own and learning on your own, you don't quite know how to get better at things like stroke economy. Let's move forward. But sadly, in 2007, I didn't do a proper self-portrait because I was too busy playing Ragnarok Online. But nonetheless, I did do a self-portrait of my little character, and you might recognize this from many of my profile pictures. I can't resist. It's just funny to me. In the following year, I was kind of trying to figure out pixel art for most of the year, doing little animations and nonsense, and I decided to try to do a self-portrait in a pixel animation format, and that was where this little guy came from. The year after that, kind of, I think, at a relative low point in my art journey. This is kind of when I wasn't doing much art, and I think I just came back for really this being one of the few things I did that year, trying to get more silly and stylized and capture how I felt more so than just a perfect likeness. But yeah, why not? Sure. After that, that was still basically the low point of my art journey where I wasn't even doing art. In fact, the only thing I had to show for it was just the quickest of quick little sketches. But don't worry, we'll get back. We'll turn the corner. We'll find our way back around. This was 2010, but going into 2011, I'm back. We're back, and this is when I'm starting to do the YouTube videos. So I think I have this in a video format on YouTube. I don't know. I would hate to check and be wrong. But now we're getting back into a proper, more ambitious style. We got a few drawings, tried to paint one, but still not quite figuring out how to show form or smooth things. Still kind of a bird's nest approach. Not much stroke economy, but at least there's a bit of hue variety and fun with that. The year after that, now we're in full self-portrait day mode every year subsequently. Tried to work on that smoothing ability. Can I make smoother transitions? Can I figure out what's missing from my overall art skill set? It's stroke economy. That's what I was missing. And honestly, shape appeal, a lot of things. The next year, this was my the most earnest attempt you could imagine to get a more realistic and smooth skin tone. The best I could do. It's still a little bit choppy at times, but for a relatively hyper low contrast, kind of neutral outdoor lighting, because as you can tell, there's like thematic stuff going on here. I tried to make it look like I was floating in a very clear water with clouds reflected in the water. I didn't quite achieve that effect, and you know why? It's not because of these parts. I think the actual feeling of water and like the skin tone changing from cooler to warmer is basically right. The little leaf is a nice touch, but these stupid, ugly clouds with this horrible brushwork really kind of throws all of that away, that effect. The year after that, I tried to go as far as I could go with all of that chaotic brushwork. and really just pushing the chaos and being like, well, maybe I don't. Maybe I just will never learn to be smooth and make smoother form changes, and I'll just commit as hard as I can to the craziness of hue variety, color, and just kind of being chaotic with it. It almost works. It's not quite there. I would say this is one of the weaker likenesses too. Even the sketches, just not quite finding the likeness. The year after that, 2015, I was once again deep in my YouTube era. And at this point, I did this during a live stream. That's right, a YouTube live stream. I used to stream on YouTube, and one of the things I would stream is doing traditional sketch practice. So I took out a brush pen on November 1st, opened up YouTube, and streamed me trying to draw self-portraits. Now, the downside is, because I was doing it in that format, I didn't have like a mirror or anything to look at. So I still think the likeness is pretty rough. I'm not that happy with it. I don't think I would be able to identify these as being proper self-portraits. But, you know, a little bit tricky, especially when you're trying to draw with like a top-down camera right in front of your face and you're trying to peek around it. The year after that, 2016. Can you believe it? We're already creeping up to 2016. And this one was, I would say, starting to harmonize a little bit better. There's still that chaotic brushwork, a little bit, but you can see I'm using that infamous dry brush that I became somewhat famous for at the time. And that creates a lot of nice blending and mixing, and you're able to get a little bit more form as well as a little bit of chunkiness. And that's pretty darn good. So I like the way the neck brings in yellows and blues. That's kind of my favorite part, even though it looks a little, weird and not realistic in some regard. I like that aspect. Look at that baby-faced smooth skin. So yeah, the eye's not bad. I was getting into, doing the reflective stuff. So this is more like the modern YouTube era, where you might even have been watching some of my videos, because this is when I was starting to really find my groove and grow the channel and make some good tutorials that still hold up relatively well. After that, we have the 10 style challenge, which you can see there's my style, what I call my style. This was, 2017, so Rick and Morty's still popular. Adventure Time, Invader Zim, Little Witch Academia. I would say I'm pretty happy with especially the Invader Zim one. And then there's a little bit of One Piece, some Sakimi-chan, who was the highest paid, most famous artist of 2017. Ashley Wood, personal favorite of mine. I just love the mix of thick lines and thin lines. I don't know if my likenesses are going great. Some of them are pretty good likenesses. Alphonse Muka, I'm okay with that. I look a little bit more rugged and handsome here, but I had a lot of fun doing that one. But you know what I had the most fun with? Tanger Hui. And I think doing this one, in fact, doing this whole set, I think improved my ability to do self-portraits more than anything else I had done. So if you're trying to really just improve at your portraits or self-portraits, I highly recommend trying to do a ton of different styles and mix in more variations of realistic styles. And coming off of that, 2018 is where I really hit probably the best stride for my self-portraits. You can see I have stuff a little bit more figured out now. There's some smooth transitions, some blending, but also not giving up on some of those more shape-driven planes. You can see how everything has like aspects of being controlled with a little bit of shape appeal. No more pure chaos, well, except for some of these hair parts. But there's a little bit, even in those chaotic parts, an attempt to have more stroke economy and more shape-driven stuff. So, that big colorful parts in the neck. I was quite happy with how this one turned out. I would say it's a pretty good culmination of all the things I had learned coming up to it. So a good checkpoint for my overall skills. After that, it was a bit of a rough year mentally, where I had some setbacks and stuff. So I have a very thematic self-portrait of more me trying to hold my head together as it splits open. But you know, an ambitious one, a little bit flat. The arm's kind of a little wonky. But that's fine. It was fun. After that, I went back and I was like, well, the one from 2018 was good, so I'll do a similar thing in 2020. And yeah, that's, you know, also working pretty good. That stroke economy stuff. You have some shapes that are left with their natural shape appeal, and everything's trying to at least have some aspect of flow and movement between them. There's still touches of chaos. And then after that, I was like, well, I've done so many different ones. How about I try to get even more stylized and maybe mix in two different styles? So there's like a slightly more realistic self-portrait, flat in the background. There's also a more cartoony, silly version of myself, as I tried to develop a more stylized version of myself, which has continued to expand upon itself. And maybe I'll have something similar this year as well. But I really liked that. This was, you know, around the time where I'm thinking about chroma core certainly a lot, but certainly, you know, strong shape dynamics in like the arm and hand. Having a great time really selling peaks and valleys and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm in my zone. I think 2021 pretty good year for me doing art. I did a lot of art, so I was pretty comfy. And that pays off. Meanwhile, 2022, trying to go as far as I could into a more plasticky, softer render, which I know some of you don't enjoy as much, but for my own benefit, I need to keep exploring every avenue, and I actually really like how the plasticky effect of this all turned out. So I had a lot of fun with that, yeah, I like that one. It's still the background wallpaper I'm using on my desktop. After that, we have 2023 creeping up on the not too distant past. And for this one, just a little bit straightforward. Just wanted to make a more realistic, standard, less ambitious one, just to see where my more realistic skills for speed painting a face would be at. And I really wanted to try to bring in, you know, unconventional lighting and color palettes. So going extremely orange up here, and just trying to work that into a cooler tone, and really thinking about stuff like warmth and coolness, and mixing in still shape economy, stroke economy, shape appeal, I should say, and all that good stuff. You can see, you know, fun aspects going on all around. Some smoothness, some harder shapes. Yeah, you know, kind of in that comfort zone. We go forward to last year, and of course, being right after we had our little baby. So, you know, this self-portrait is, of course, her point of view, looking up at me, peeking down in the bassinet constantly with my goofy grin, being like, wow, can't believe there's a baby in this house. And yeah, really committing to the stroke economy, very hard shapes, not really much smooth stuff. So I had a lot of fun with that, got kind of crazy with it, and I think that's a good way to kind of keep balancing things out. So that took way longer than I thought. I wasn't planning to spend this much time going through them. So let's hop into this year and see what we can do. All right, so getting into this year's self-portrait, I will be on the record with saying, as much as I thought I was so busy last year and that it was like the biggest time crunch ever, this year is actually even more of a time crunch. I thought having a little infant in the house was super difficult, but then again, the infant just kind of sleeps in the bassinet all day. Now I have a 1-year-old, and the 1-year-old likes to crawl and get all over things and just be chaotic all the time. So as much as I thought last year was the peak of busyness, this year even more busy. So I am scrambling to finish something for Self-Portrait Day. and really coming down to the wire right now. It's about the deadline for me having to get a video up, and I'm still trying my best to finish it. Anyway, for this year, I'm going with a much more silly, going back to the simple, stylized, cartoony approach for drawing a face. I'm going to give myself the big, silly, large nose and the very shape-driven face and hair, and just have a lot more fun with it. So I thought I would try to make the hair more rounded this year, try to go for a more blobby hair approach. I thought that would be a nice little mix of it all. But otherwise, this face, it's honestly very similar to how I like to just quickly draw my face at all times when I'm just doing a quick little self-portrait, maybe in someone's sketchbook, if someone asks, or just wherever. It's my shorthand approach for drawing myself. And I thought, you know what would be really fun is to incorporate the chaos of having a little baby crawling all over me. So there we have little baby May. But I don't know, I can't help but feel like she is a continuation of me. But I thought it would also be fun to just, you might notice, like, have these little fingery shapes. And I was just like, I don't know, I don't feel like drawing a whole hand or anything. But if you draw a couple fingers that are kind of in the right expression and the right shape, it can kind of create the mood you want. So it's kind of an abstracted feeling of a few fingers to represent a hand. And I even did the 2 fingers and a thumb approach to kind of the baby hands as well. I'll be honest, I haven't drawn many baby stylized caricatures, so I wasn't really sure how to go about it, but I figured just kind of make it almost like a weird chibi face and just give the cheeks a lot of chubbiness. And it should be fine, but certainly I have a lot more experience just drawing my own face in a stylized way, and I just had to find something that matched. But anyway, for this one, because it's such a silly, lighthearted one, I thought, well, I've done a lot of different colors and things in the past. Maybe I'll just go super saturated with the colors this time. See how far I could push into fun, saturated colors. So in order to do that, you know that the best trick you can use to adjust your color choices is to pick a background that will lead you toward the direction you want. So if you're always making your skin tones a little bit too light, make your background darker and do your skin tones on that. If your skin tones are always too dark, make your background lighter. If your skin tones are always too, I don't know, warm, make your background warm. If your skin tones are too cold, make your background cold. You can always trick your brain into making more comparative color decisions based on those backgrounds. And then I'm just going to go through and go for a very quick and lighthearted approach to doing all of the coloring. So a little bit of airbrushing to just get a hue variety, to get some different color zones of the face, a little bit more red through the center, you know, a little cooler at the bottom. And I thought I would try to have a little bit more light coming up from underneath. I'm going to go for a relatively mild color palette, or lighting palette, I should say, and not really have any strong direct light, just kind of have some generic bounced light coming from the bottom, but mostly just lit from the top, and then just see how that works, but relatively flat lighting. And yeah, I think I'm enjoying it. I think it's working out just fine. Once those base colors were relatively where I need them to be, I thought I need to make the background just a little bit more fun. I can't just leave it as a flat blue. So I thought, what would be the most crazy, weird thing I can do for the background? And it took me a while to just kind of figure something out. I was trying a bunch of stuff. But I decided to take a lot of inspiration from more pop art style stuff and tried to make something that just felt like a bunch of blobs of pastel fun colors. So oranges, yellows, pinks, A little bit of kind of lime green in there, maybe some white as well, because I think that goes good with all these pastel kind of colors. And that worked out all right. I'm feeling okay about it. It's a new thing for me. It's not something I'm super versed in or familiar with, so bear with me. And then, maybe add in a little bit of secondary value just to make some of them look even more blobby and almost cellular. I don't even know. Kind of getting trippy with them. And I was trying to think of the best way to introduce line work into that because I didn't want them to just be flat colors. I thought it would look really nice to have lines around them. But since it was so, I can't rely on my line control to outline all of these cleanly and smoothly with big shapes. My muscle control is just not there. I haven't been drawing enough. Honestly, coming into this self-portrait was a little bit like starting a car that hadn't been driven for a few months. Because I was just hoping the engine would start. I was just turning it and being like, well, I hope something comes out because I have not had much drawing free time in the past months. Honestly, since Chroma Core, I've just kind of been sapped, and that usually happens. But, trying to get back into it. So hopefully you'll think that the car is running all right. I feel like the car started just fine. I'm getting to where I need to go. I don't know why I'm running with this little metaphor so much. But anyway, I got super sidetracked. The thing I wanted to say was that for these colorful backgrounds, what I decided to do was bring these blobs over into Photoshop and do something I've never done before, which is to use the filter Find Edges. I have never once used this filter, but I'm like, wait, it's perfect for this. It can instantly give me outlines around all of the little forms I made without me having to draw them by hand. So luckily, that actually does work. I was able to use the Find Edges to get a nice little line version of all the blobs I made. And then just kind of overlay that. I think I set it to multiply. I tried some different blending options until I found a effect that I felt like was subtle enough and kind of did what I needed it to do. So with that being done, I brought it all back over into Corel Painter, where I did all the painting stuff, and did just a little bit more painting above the line art, trying to get rid of some of the line art so it's not so strong, trying to finish up all the details, add some little skin freckles and imperfections, finish the eyes, make the eyes look nice and clean because they were just kind of roughly put in there before. And yeah, with all of that being done, I think this self-portrait is finally finished. So there we go, another year of self-portrait day in the books. And yeah, I think this is a fun little one. It certainly adds a nice variety to the overall collection that we've just looked at and spent half the video looking at. So hopefully you find that inspirational, entertaining. I don't know. I find it a little bit inspirational to look back at all of the self-portraits and see where all the visual breakthroughs came through, all of the different ways my skill sets have changed and evolved and gotten them to a very, I don't know, comprehensive place where I feel like I can do what I want to do anytime I really want to do it. So, having said all of that and having made this fun little piece of art, the only thing I had to do was just throw some noise on it in Photoshop. Just a little bit of the typical post-processing stuff, and we are done. So, it's late. I gotta get this video edited and finished and uploaded in the next few hours, but hopefully you're watching it on Self-Portrait Day early enough for you to be reminded and do your own self-portrait. You'll be happy you did. When I look back at those years where I maybe didn't really do anything, it makes me feel bad. I'm like, man, I wanted to keep the streak going for as long as I could. But luckily, the streak has been going strong since at least 2011, right? Yeah, at least 10 years of videos on it. But it's been a good time, and I will see you all again in the near future. So thank you all for watching, and a big thank you to the Patreon supporters as well. You guys are great. I'll see you on the Discord. But anyway, have a great day, and yeah, see you everyone.